AskReddit by Negan 2018. What really obvious thing have you only just realized? That when I was a kid and my dad would take me to the video store on Friday nights and he would go into the back room where only adults were allowed, that he was looking at porn. That the phrase mint condition means like new because it's the condition coins leave the mint in. Wow, I always thought it meant mint condition because mint makes you feel fresh. I must have been around 11-12 years old when I realized that in order of appearance during the end credits of a movie doesn't list the actors/actresses by who is the most good looking. This made me laugh. Never thought about it that way, but it's hilarious. I learned a couple years ago that it's not the mayor of bad news, it's actually the bearer of bad news. I'm 25. I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing at this. I strive to be the mayor of bad news one day. Hell, maybe even today. Cilantro and coriander are the same plant. One time I was at a restaurant with a friend, sharing salsa and chips. I commented that the salsa had a very strong cilantro flavor, and she commented she couldn't taste anything other than coriander. We debated the issue for a few minutes, in disbelief that the other person was tasting something completely different and couldn't pick up on the taste the other thought was prominent. When I saw coriander seeds at the store a few weeks later, I bought them to see what taste she had been talking about, and then the truth clicked. I only just today realized that the walk the plank on a boat is not a special edition pirates added to their ships as a means of public execution that looked like a little wooden diving board. It is, in fact, the very same plank as the gangplank you'd normally use to get on and off of the ship. It is not the presence of the plank that is threatening, but the absence of dock. Until recently I also thought that, despite the obvious name, being keel-hauled meant you were just thrown off the boat and left behind. I didn't realize they tied you to line, threw you off and dragged you under the ship's keel. Shout out to Alice Storms, keel-hauled. https://yahoo.be/ta-z_psxodw closed bracket for my late education. That you have to add a can of water to Campbell's soup. Apparently I've been drinking straight condensed soup. Don't let people lie to you. Eat it straight from the can. The first time I visited the USA I was on my own and in NY and going to all the museums. I kept seeing signs that said no strollers and thought, because we call strollers prams in the UK, that you guys are super strict about the proper amount of attention required to visit a museum. I actually pretended to show more interest than I had in order not to be thought of as some deadbeat out for a casual stroll. It wasn't until about day 3 that I saw a no strollers sign that included a graphic for idiots. Edit. Whoa. Thanks for the gold and silver and 40x the karma. Oh, my first visit to the States, I went to a supermarket on my own and at the checkout the lady asked me paper or plastic and I didn't know what she meant, so I said I have cash and she very politely didn't tell me I was an idiot. She was in fact asking what type of carrier bags I wanted my shopping putting in, instead of how I was going to pay. That calling someone simple is just a nice way of calling someone stupid. Wife informed me of this after 28 years of my grandma calling me simple. Simple could also mean uncomplicated or not conniving, but maybe I'm just naive. I realized at the age of 26 that narwhals are real because they were on an Octonauts episode. I walked into the room and was like, I thought they only do real animals on this show. Then the kid's dad said, you're joking, right? I only realized they were a real animal this year, and I'm fucking 30. Felt like a right dumbass being told they are in fact real by someone half my age. I kept seeing the same Chinese characters on restaurant signs and I always wanted to know what it meant. A week ago I found out, they mean restaurant. I used to always pour water into our coffee maker 1 glass at a time. It was such a pain in the ass, especially to fill the reservoir to the number of cups I wanted. until I realized I could just fill the carafe with water, which has the exact same measurements, and pour the water in that way. I recently realized I was allergic to carrots. I just thought they made everyone's mouth numb, you know, just like almonds. I also learned recently that I have an almond allergy. Same here. Thought that raw hazelnuts don't taste good, because they give this weird tingle in your mouth. Found out I had a nut allergy when it suddenly turned from tingle to anaphylaxis and I ended up in hospital for eating nut chocolate. I always thought you can't have your cake and eat it, too was a weird saying because why wouldn't I be able to eat my freaking slice of cake? It's my cake. Nobody was telling me that I can't have my cake. Turns out they mean you can't eat the cake while also still retaining it. Once it is eaten, it is gone. An idiom I did not understand until this year. I am 27. Edit. Thank you for the silver, kind stranger. The Italian version of this is you can't have a full bottle and a drunk wife or something along those lines. This sounds ridiculous, but I recently found out about the term knee-jerk reaction. My whole life I had been saying it how I heard it, and just figured it was spelled something like knee-jerk reaction, like it was some psychology term. Oh well, I knew it was a knee-jerk reaction, but reading your post made me think why we use that phrase. Really obvious, but not something I had thought about previously. English is not my first language, so I was mind blown when I realized how keys, kiss, he's, his, this, these, etc. differed in sound, pronunciation. I first noticed this when I told my boyfriend I wanted a keys and he looked very confused, lol. Now I try my best to pronounce them properly. Edit, grammar. Imagine if you'd made that mistake when ordering peas. My whole life I thought pay-per-view was actually pay-per-view because I had only ever heard people say it, and only recently saw it written out. My boyfriend did not know that his electric toothbrush has a timer on it that goes off at 1 minute and 2 minutes. He actually returned it and got a new one thinking it was broken, since the timer is just a brief sort of pause reduction in the vibration. He would be like, WTF, I literally just charged this fucking thing thinking that the battery was already dying. One day, and I can't remember exactly what the conversation was, I brought up how I liked that my toothbrush let me know when I had brushed long enough, and it was like a light bulb went off in his head and suddenly he put it together that was what his toothbrush was doing all along. That big ship's wheel I got to turn as a kid was not actually controlling the cruise ship. This jogged my memory of something. When I was around 13, I was on a flight with a bunch of other kids. I fell asleep during the flight, but woke up during some turbulence. A couple kids near me saw me wake up startled and made a big show of saying, "Whoa, I can't believe the pilot did a barrel roll." A few other people I talked to about it confirmed it, and it took me embarrassingly far into adulthood to realize some people were just messing with me. I mean, a pilot on a commercial flight wouldn't do that, right? I was 28 before I realized the meaning to the "why is 6 afraid of 7" joke. I always just thought it was dumb. 7, 8, 9, like you're just counting. The electric bill wasn't paid until later in my life. I didn't realize time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana wasn't absurdist humor until college. I realized that to be in one's birthday suit it means to be without clothes. I thought for the longest time it was a specific set of clothes you would wear on your birthday each year. I found out when I asked, what happens when you don't fit in your birthday suit anymore, lol. Stretch marks happen. Edit. Thank you, kind strangers. My first awards. For the longest time, I always thought prima donna was prima donna. Me too. My mother would call me that and I thought she meant I was going to be a whore. Principal building from Saved by the Bell is named Belding. 2 buildings in one building and one of them's balding. Best line of the show according to younger me. The reason the cord hook on the vacuum spins is so you can take the whole cord off at once instead of unraveling it one loop at a time, like I have been my whole life. Edit. I learned how to spell cord today. And if you wind it up as a figure 8 between the two hooks, when you turn the hook down and take off the whole cord, it won't get tangled up as you vacuum. Edit. My first silver for a vacuum cord comment. That parents have children write letters to Santa so they can figure out what to buy them for Christmas. I can't believe how I never put that together after 32 years on this earth. I just thought it was fun little tradition. In Sweden we put those letters in the post box with mail headed to the North Pole. My bedroom door was broke and I finally got around to fixing it. Thought the knob was broke cause it was pushed in towards the door, so I pulled it out and realized that was how you lock the door. As a small child, like maybe age 4, my family told me the powder room door at my grandparents' house didn't lock. I had a reputation for accidentally locking myself in 2 places, so they didn't want me locking myself in there, I guess. I was 18 before I accidentally locked the door just like that, realized how it worked and emerged from the bathroom mortified and amused that I had gone all those years thinking the door just didn't lock. No one even remembered lying to me about the lack of lock. It called Men's Warehouse and not Men's Warehouse. It's been a couple years since I realized this and I just think that's a clever name. What the fuck, I just looked it up and I still don't believe you. The villain in Halloween is not played by Michael Myers. Deleted. This little piggy didn't go to the market to do any shopping. Wait. Then why are the other pigs eating roast beef? I feel like there's at least one of these pigs with its own agenda. Super embarrassing, but in college I would order Roman Cokes because I heard everyone else ordering the same. Turns out I misheard everyone and found out it was just rum and coke. A Roman Coke does sound like a great drink though. When teenagers said we're going to TP a house, I always thought it was TP and it never made sense to me since they just covered a house with toilet paper. I recently realized that TP was the initials for toilet paper. I'm 27. This girl I know has a dog named Deargy. 2 years into knowing her and being around Deargy, I was having a conversation with her sister-in-law and I said I love the name Deargy. How did she come up with that? Her sister-in-law responds, Deargy, and I said yay, it's a neat name. She started laughing and said no, D-O-G, the way you spell dog. I'm still mind blown about this lol. We got a chocolate Labrador quite a few years ago. My dad has been known to name animals after what species they are. This time around, my mom wouldn't let him name the dog, so he named her Kitty. He also named his horse No Name. This is why we don't let him name animals anymore. Edit. Just remembered my brother has a dog named Fishy as well, just to continue the naming game. Pufferfish suck in water not air. Okay, yes. I saw one get pulled from the ocean and deflated and it spat out water. I was shocked to my very core. Everyone else was like, up there? That they put measurement stickers next to gas station doors so if a robber is running out of the store you can get a better estimate of their height. I always thought they were just there for something fun to do on road trip stops. More than that, they are not actually accurate if you stand against them and measure that way. They are supposed to be placed so the camera will show the correct height of the person, compensating for the angle of the camera. Not just now, but I think it applies. I'm currently in my mid-30s. I didn't realize until I was about 28 years old that my mom's name was Betty and her sister's name was Wilma. Betty and Wilma. From the Flintstones. And yes, they were definitely named after the cartoon. I asked. Flash forward 2 years later, my aunt Wilma informed me that they were fraternal twins. Again, another thing for 30 years I had not known. Edit. A few folks have asked for a bit of context on the twin thing. My mom died when I was fairly going, so I never had her birthday as a thing. I wasn't super close to Wilma, so I wasn't really celebrating hers either. I guess it was just known in my family, so nobody ever mentioned it until totally randomly she said something about it. On the name thing, they actually both went by nicknames their whole lives, so I never even thought of them as Betty and Wilma, but just Mom and Aunt Cookie. She likes to bake. Them being the same age with the same birthday wasn't a clue. When I was little we had an Australian Shepherd named Sydney. I didn't understand why her name was Sydney until 18 years later. I named my American Eskimo Juno. Saw a place labeled as public house when I moved nearby recently. It was at that moment I realized, oh, that's why they call them pubs. It's short for public house. In Russian phrased public house means a whorehouse, not a pub, I wonder. By tornadoes sound like trains, they don't mean tornadoes whistle a choo-choo sound. Not me, but my sister asked me about 2.5 months ago when we were watching John Wick 3 during the desert scene. She asked me if they were real and I asked if what were real and she said sandlands, and I busted out laughing so goddamn hard and said, you mean deserts? Yes, they're real. Thinking about it right now got me laughing. I think we should start a petition to change the word to sandlands, though it's pretty good. Up until last year I thought Nat Geo was a person. I then realized it was short for National Geographic. Nathaniel Giartopoulos actually was a founder of the channel, but it's only a coincidence. I thought astigmatism was astigmatism. So I thought you could have two stigmatisms. And I confused stigmatism with both stigma and stigmata. Today my friend realized pipe cleaners were originally for cleaning pipes. After I suggested using one to clean a metal straw because it's similar to a pipe. Oh. I had that one about 7 years ago when my stoner ass was trying to clean out a glass pipe. Man, this is so stupid. Someone should invent some sort of fucking pipe cleaner. Oh. That people who always seem to know what direction it is, north, south, east, west, aren't somehow magical magnets but are rather just noticing where the goddamn sun is in the sky. Why did no one tell me? The sun is a huge indicator. But I know plenty of people who keep track of direction without the sun without even thinking about it. I am not one of them. I regret to inform you all that it just occurred to me the other day that the game is called Sims because they're in a simulation. I'm 26. That getting your tires rotated means moving the tires to a different location on the car, not spinning the wheel. I learned that allspice is actually one spice and not a blend of spices containing cinnamon and nutmeg. Edit, reworded. I do not think cinnamon and nutmeg are blends. I also just learned that, from your comment. Personal injury lawyer commercials play more frequently during daytime TV because their clientele is injured, stuck at home, and watching daytime TV. The houses in Bikini Bottom are car mufflers. What the fuck? In Pokemon, there is same type attack bonus, where if you use a move that is the same type as the Pokemon itself, then the move does 1.5x damage. People also refer to it as stab damage, which I thought was just a colloquial term for 1.5x damage. I only just realized that stab stands for same type attack bonus. My mom used to make my sisters and I belly buttons for dinner. I was 27 when I realized that they were actually tortellini, but she knew we were dumb kids and would refuse something named so strange even though they were delicious. Edit because people are still seeing this apparently. Once she was making fried shrimp for dinner. My sisters and I hated fried shrimp but we loved popcorn shrimp from Long John Silver's. We complained so my mom said okay, go away and I'll make you some popcorn shrimp instead. We left and she says she took half the shrimp she was already using and cut it into and then fried it that way. We cleaned the friggin' bowl. We were dumb kids and she was a good, smart mom. I think I would have been more freaked out about eating cooked belly buttons.